Hey, Wally.
Yeah. Priscilla, are you able to see where you can take control of the slides? Priscilla, you may be muted. If you could unmute yourself. She's got her hand up.
Good morning, everyone. We're trying to get set up, so it'll be a few more minutes and then we'll get started.
Hello, Wally, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Who's this?
Okay, then. Yeah, this is me.
Oh, Priscilla.
Yeah.
Okay, are you able to see on the left-hand side where it says slides 1 through 13?
Okay, somebody's talking in the background. Can you all please mute your phone?
So if you're not able to take control, Priscilla, if you want, I can take control, and you just let me know when you want me to change the slide.
You have reached the law offices of Merritt, Wilson and Caruso, the Tennessee provider firm for Legal Shield.
Can you all please mute your phone?
Wally, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I muted everybody. I'm waiting for Keena to unmute herself.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I can take control.
Okay, you got control?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so you want to put the PowerPoint up on the screen and we'll get started?
Yeah, I need to get back to the first screen. I hate this. Oh, here you go. That's it. Okay. Wait a minute. Wrong slides. The last one I sent you this morning, Keena.
Okay. Okay, Priscilla, can you take over it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but these are still the wrong slides.
It's what I pulled, what you sent me this morning.
The limitation of contracting?
Yeah.
No, I sent you another one. Hold on.
Wally, how do I exit out of this presentation? Just select a different one?
Well, what you do is just unshare your screen. The same button you hit to share. This time it'll have an arrow down. Just unshare your screen. So, Priscilla, do you have the slideshow open?
Yeah, I got one of them now.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get to it.
I was going to say, if you hit the share button, it'll bring up a bunch of options. Just click on the PowerPoint that you want to share.
Uh-huh.
And it should pop it up full screen.
Still wrong one.
Is that the one you're sharing?
No, this is not the one I want to share. limitation.
This one is labeled limitation of subcontracting. Okay.
The one I want to share is called contracting process and issues.
Okay.
Not popping up.
Let me try it again.
Yeah,
I just sent you.
All right,
I'm gonna try it again.
There it is. Someone's got it up. Go ahead and maximize it.
Okay, because I'm still.
Yeah, somebody just had it up. They just had to make it in presentation mode, and we've been good to go. Okay, there you go. It looks like
it is.
It's up.
Okay, we have it up. Priscilla, is that the right one? Hello?
Priscilla, maybe you might have to unmute yourself again.
Please be patient, you all, and we'll get this going. Priscilla, you have to unmute yourself. She can hear us, but
Yeah, she said she is unmuted. I don't understand that. Oh, the slides left.
the slide left.
All right, Keena, did you have the slides or did Priscilla have the slides up?
I had it. I'm gonna put it back up.
Yep, go ahead and put them back up. She said she's going to call in.
As soon as Priscilla gets back on, we'll go ahead and get started.
And what we can
Okay,
do.
can you see my slide?
Yep, and what we can do is just let Priscilla talk and you can advance them for her, okay, Keena?
Okay.
Are you in, Priscilla?
Priscilla.
I admitted her.
Whew. Priscilla?
Are you in, Priscilla?
Priscilla?
Hey, can you hear me now, Kena?
Yes.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. So can you
Okay.
see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. I just took control of the screen.
Okay. So we're
All
ready?
right. Yeah, I guess.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties this morning. My name is Keena Dixon. I'm with the Small Business Administration. I am a business opportunity specialist located in Tennessee. On the line with me, I also have my counterparts in Mississippi as well as Alabama. I'll give you all the floor if you all would like to say anything. Joyce Connor and Jawanda Jones.
Good morning. This is Joyce Connor, BOS for the state of Mississippi with SBA.
Good morning. This is Jawanda Jones, BOS with the Alabama District Office. Just really excited to be here. Excited that all of you have joined in, and I'm looking to learn, as I'm sure as you all are as well. So I'm excited to be here.
Okay, and we also have David Wally on the line. If you'd like to make a comment, he's my co-work counterpart in the Tennessee District Office as well.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. Enjoy the show.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. If either of you have questions, we ask that you either raise your hand or send a text and we'll respond to those questions. And you can also unmute yourself and ask the question. We'll go ahead and get started. Our presenter for this morning is Priscilla Sweeney. She's the branch chief of contracting for the Memphis District Corps of Engineers. She has over 30 years experience in the contracting arena. And you all are gonna get a treat because normally you all don't get to speak one-on-one with the branch chief, the actual individual that's making the decisions as it relates to contracting. So thank you, Priscilla, for being able to present this morning, and I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Everyone's muted, so yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hi.
Yes.
Again, I'm Priscilla Sweeney. Okay. I'm the chief of contracting for the Memphis District Corps of Engineers. I'm a part of the region, which is the Mississippi Valley Division, and the Mississippi Valley Division is made up of 6 districts along the Mississippi River. Those districts are St. Paul, Rock Island, St. Louis, Memphis, Vicksburg, and New Orleans. We make up the Mississippi Valley Division. The Memphis District, we cover about 25,000 square miles of land.
There's some noise in the background. I ask you to please mute your phone. Okay, Priscilla, you can go ahead and proceed. Priscilla?
Okay. All right. We handle again about 25,000 square miles of river or land around the river. I handle everything from Cairo, Illinois, as far down to Greenville, Mississippi. And my major mission is anything that has to do with the Mississippi River. We are the people that you talk to. We are the only 6 districts that really handles anything that goes up and down the Mississippi River. For you all that don't know, I know more about the Mississippi River than I care to know. But that's just the nature of what I do. So we're going to get started here. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. There's no right or wrong answer. What I tell you today will probably change tomorrow. That's just how contracting is. So you can say, well, I sat there in your presentation and you specifically said this. Uh-huh. New guidance came down the day after I gave this training that changed all of that. So the reason I'm telling you all, just don't hold me to something because contracting is always changing and my rules and regulations are always changing. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, today, the overview, we're going to look at definitions. We're going to talk about regulations. We're going to talk about the roles of the prime contractor, issues, limitations of subcontractors, and I got on here lease versus purchases. The definitions. You're going to go to definitions, and I'm not going to read them because all these definitions come from FAR Part 2. And it talks about the definition of a contract. In contracting, there is only two people that has the authority to bind the government. That is a contracting officer or what we call a ACO, a administrative contracting officer. Those are the only two people that can bind the government. And you want to know, well, why? Well, we know what a contract is. But the bottom line is this. When you're in the field and you got a two-star coming in, he's dictating to you what you need to do, and he don't like the way you built that floor in his house because he's on a military installation and he wants marble and you're putting down, I don't even know, the cheap stuff, and he wants to change it. I'm telling you, you can take that leap if you want to, but because the general does not have the authority to bind the government, you will be doing free work for the government. Just the bottom line. There's only two people, contracting officer and the administrative contracting officer. Those are the only two people that can bind the government only because we have been appointed by what we call the SCO, which is our senior contracting officers, by them to bind the government. And we can bind the government for all sorts of stuff. Contracting officer, that's who I am. I've been appointed by the Department of the Army to bind the government. The simplified acquisition, you remember that changed a couple of years ago. It went from 150, now it's 250K. You say, well, why is that relevant to me? Because the regulation specifically says anything under $250,000 must go to small business. That's why that is significant to you. I said must. There are exemptions from that, and we will get into those later. The simplified acquisition procedures, there's a difference between the simplified acquisition threshold and the simplified acquisition procedures. Those procedures you can find in FAR Part 13. Commercial item. Commercial item is nothing but an off-the-shelf item. It's just like me going into Walmart and buying pine saw, which I can't find anymore. But that's what a commercial item is. It is something that is customarily that you can buy just like the federal government. No different. Construction. All construction is altering real property. That means that if I needed to paint my office, I am altering real property. And anytime you alter real property, it is considered construction. Prime contractor. The prime contractor is a person that's on the contract. Subcontractor is the subcontractor is the business person to help the prime carry out his mission as far as the contract is concerned. My regulations, the federal acquisition regulation, we call it the FAR. The Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation, we call that the DFARS. Then you have the Army FAR Acquisition Regulation, we call that the AFARS. Then you have USACE Acquisition and Instructions, we call that USACE Acquisition Instruction. And we are guided by, sometimes when they don't have enough time to put stuff in regulations, they send out what we call policy instruction letters. that we must adhere to. These are the regulations that we use to make a determination on what contracts we're going to do and the method of contracting. I will tell you, if you need some rest at night, just pick one of these regulations and start reading. You'll be asleep in 5 minutes. Okay? But those are our regulations. And these are not the only regulations, because these regulations tell me how to buy. They do not tell me what to buy. There's other people regulations that tell me whether I can purchase those items or not. Okay? Prime contractor. Prime contractor, I cannot express how important it is, and that's the reason I put it in red. The prime contractor is responsible for the whole contract. The prime, when I have a project, I do not go to the sub. Matter of fact, I don't even talk to the sub. If I have a problem with a contract, I'm going to the prime contractor. Now, you may bring the sub in my office. Okay, but I'm not going to talk to him, because as the prime, it is your responsibility to know what's going on your project, not the sub. Contractors' roles and responsibilities. We're going to do this in two things. We're going to do this in pre-solicitation. I'm going to give you your responsibilities, and then we're going to do this in post-award. In accordance with FAR Part 9, it states, and this is policy, no purchase shall be made unless I, as the contracting officer, has made an affirmative determination of responsibility. So every time I make an award, I have to make a determination of responsibility. Okay? And these are some of the things you may want to do if you're planning on bidding on one of our projects. You need to make sure prior to you even going out there looking at the project, you need to make sure you're registered in the SAMS database. My regulation says I can't make an award to anybody that has not been registered in that database. Bottom line. And I will not wait. If you bid on a project and you think I'm going to wait till you do your due diligence and get into SAMS and all these other systems, will not do it. Prior to you submitting me a bid, prior to you submitting me a quote, you have to be registered in the SAM database. And we tell you that up front. One of the other regulations that just came on the board for us is that you cannot, in the SAM database, let's go from there. In the SAM database, we have, it has in the SAM database what NEX code, or your North American Industrial Classification Systems codes. We call them Nexus codes. It has about 1 million of them. But in your SAM database, you put the ones in there. You're going to register with the NEX codes that you can support. Do not bid on a construction project and I go in the SAMS and look at the Nexus codes that you have registered with, and you don't have the construction NEX code. I can't award to you, because in order to award to you, then you must have that NEX code in your SAMS registration. And you may say, well, if I get the project, then I can go in there and put the NEX code in there. Again, I'm not waiting on you to do what you were supposed to do prior to you bidding on a project. I don't wait. I'm sorry. I just don't. The next thing is, make sure you don't have any liens against your company, especially IRS liens. Make sure you do not have any liens. And you may say, well, I can bid on this project and they'll never know. You talking about the I, the R, and the S. They're waiting on you to get a contract. Because guess what? They can put a lien against any contract that we let to you if you have a lien on your Social Security number. If you owe um, if you owe money on your student loans, they're waiting on you because they can take that money from your contract. And the sad thing about it is that I don't even know that they've done it because when we set this up in our financial database, they're waiting on you and they're sitting back there. And as soon as your DUNS number or your Social Security number hits my system, IRS has already been notified and they can take as much money of yours as they want to because I have no say so on that. None. So make sure you don't have any liens because there are times when contractors call me, well, I put the invoice in for this, but I only got this. Then you make me have to go do my job and do research to tell you that you have a lien against your account, in which you should already know. At that time, I got to make a decision on whether or not I want to terminate you because you lied. And I ain't afraid to terminate you. I'm just letting you know. These are things that you need to do prior to submitting your bid, prior to quoting on another project. These are things that you can already have in place. Don't have to worry about it. Pay attention that when we put requirements out there on FBO, we put the next code in which we are associating this request to. You ought to know if you can you ought to know if you can support that next code. If you can't, don't bid on it. Or if you can and you have enough time, go ahead on and add that next code to your SAM's registration. Now, SAM is not like it used to be. It used to be that you could process stuff in 7 days. It ain't like that no more. Because guess what? As soon as you register in SAM's, they send that whole file to IRS. That's how I know because in your SAM registration, it has something in there. Do you have any links? And if you put yes there or IRS puts yes there, I cannot award to you. Because if you got liens against you, you mean you are already in trouble. So please take this to heed. These are three things that you can do right up front. Okay? I'm going to go over some of the other things with you. In the I'm going to be talking to about two different parts of FAR. So when you see anything that says 52.212, they are talking about commercial items, okay? Off the shelf commercial items. That's what they're talking about, okay? In this regulation or this clause right here, we also tell you, hey, these are some of the things that you need to do. The stuff that I got highlighted in red, basically it says the next and the small business size standards for this acquisition appears elsewhere in the solicitation. And it does. It appears 4 or 5 other times in my solicitation. However, the small business standards for a concern which submits an offer in its own name, but which proposes to furnish an item which it did not self-manufacture is 500 people. What that is saying to you is that I need computers. You, as the prime contractor, contractor A, say, okay, Priscilla, I can get you some computers. Okay, no problem. The only thing you're going to do is go to Dell and get the computers from Dell. Okay, that's what it's talking about. about that stuff that you did not manufacture is 500 people. We're going to get in this a little bit more when we go to the other parts. I tell you how to submit your offers. I tell you how I want your offers to look. I tell you this. I give you these instructions. Okay? In this clause, again, this is a commercial item. When we evaluate your proposals, before we even evaluate, I tell you what I'm going to look at. I tell you what's most important to me. Technical, when combined with performance, are always more important to me in price. The federal government is getting out of the business of awarding contracts to the lowest price. We're getting into the business of awarding contracts to best the best value to the federal government. We tell you this in our clauses, but a lot of people don't go past the bid schedule. They don't see these other clauses. They just go past the bid schedule and then they submit me their bid. So in every quote, bid, whatever we submit, we tell you how to submit your bid and we give you the basis for awards. Okay? Reviewing the contractor's quote. You remember the first slide I told you was in accordance with FAR Part 9, and we have to do that determination. Edmund, thank you.
Thank you. My connection is a little bad, but I appreciate the.
Okay. Review a contractor's quotes for proposals.
Wait a minute, Priscilla. I need everyone to stay muted. Please put your phone on mute. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Review a contractor's quote / bids. You remember the first slide I told you. I have to do an affirmative determination. Okay. For every proposal received, the contracting office has to make a determination if the proposal is responsive by making sure the contractor submits all documentation that was requested. Here's the bottom line, you all. I went through that spiel right before telling you what you need to submit to us for us to review. Some people think I'm playing. In FAR Part 9, it says I have to make a determination of responsiveness. Responsiveness means that you turn in every document that we requested in our proposal. You must turn that in. If you do not turn that in, then I can make a determination that you're non-responsive. That is totally different from responsible. And responsiveness, I'm making sure that you submit all of the documentation we requested. And responsible, I'm making sure that you, as the contractor, is responsible to do this job. One of the ways we find out if you're responsible is that we check the SAM database, your registration. Some people say, "Well, I'm in SAMS, but my registration lapsed." That ain't my fault. Next, I'm going to the next bidder. I'm not waiting on you. Okay? We check the next code. That code is found in the SAMS database up under your reps and certs. We go and pull your reps and certs. We check your past performance. We go into CPARS, or we go into the FAPIS system where all past performance is kept. And we ask the question, hey, we want to look at your past performance. If you have one fail section on your past performance, I can award to you. And you may say, well, but still, it wasn't my fault. Okay, well, you go and fight that with the person who put that CPARS report in or that FAPIS report in. That's not my fight. We look at all of that, okay? And we have to make a determination on that. Again, the contracting officer, we will make an award resulting from the solicitation to the responsible offerer who conforms to the solicitation that will be most advantageous to the government. Again, not the price, but what is most advantageous to the government. No, again, the government is getting out of the business of awarding to the lowest bidder. And we are awarding to the contractor that is the most responsible and that conforms to what the solicitation is. What happened? Okay. Let's look at some of the issues that I find with contractors' quotes, bids, proposals, whichever one. Again, not submitting the required documentation. That is very important, you all, and I cannot stress. If you don't want to get to the second part of the responsibility part of it, you must be responsive. You have to be. Okay? Not meeting the performance period. Y'all, if I tell you I need it in 30 days, that doesn't mean you can get 45 days. Okay? Because you're the one who gave me the performance period. And the sad thing about not meeting the performance period is that you don't even call and notify that contracting specialist that, hey, this is what's going on, and I won't meet your performance period because of this, 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 and this. I would rather for you to do that than to wait until the performance period expires, and then we have to call you. Because if I got to call you, I'm already pissed. Not honoring the quoted price. We have contractors that will do a low price just to get the contract, and then, oh, I made a mistake. I need to change. I forgot about this, and can I change my price? I have to make a determination on, am I going to let you change your price? Because your price can dislodge the next lowest bidder. And if your price increase dislodges you and you are no longer the low bidder, guess what? I'm going to terminate your contract and I'm going to go to the next bidder. So don't ever think that, well, I got the contract and I can just tell the government anything. No, you can't. Because we're not just sitting there and say, oh, we really need this item, and this is the only contractor can do it. My mind don't even allow me to think that way. Where my mind will allow me to think, oh, he think I'm playing. That's where my mind goes. So make sure that if you quote us a price, you will stand by that price. And if you say to one of the other things that the contractors say, well, I didn't include shipping. Well, how's that my problem? And I'm ready to ship, but I didn't include shipping. But the question is, how is that my problem? Because in my rules and regulations that we put in these quotes, we tell you to make sure all pricing is included in your final price. We tell you all that. Okay? Hey, Keena? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The screen is just, can you all see that? I mean, it's just spinning. Can you see the presentation?
I can see the presentation.
I can.
Yep.
I can't see nothing.
Looks fine here.
You
I
all can
can't
see
see
it?
it either.
My
That
I don't.
presentation is
no,
perfect.
we don't see it.
I can see it. Jawanda, Wally, Joyce, can you all see it?
Yes,
I can
it's,
see it
Coming
it's
through on
fine.
my
fine.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's
I
going on
can't.
your end. I can see it.
Okay, hold on.
While you are going over your technical issues, I have a couple of questions. Could I ask them? Do you want me to ask at the end of the?
Sure. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. One is on the past performance,
Yes.
and you said if you have one failed section
Yes.
on your PP and beta SAM, that's a fail. One if the PM did not put your did not enter anything in your CFARs.
Did he give you a satisfaction on everything?
Yeah, but they didn't enter anything in CFARs. Yes.
Don't. It doesn't matter because you still got a satisfactory. The regulation says about CPARs is this. As long as you get a satisfactory, I don't have to put anything in your CPARs.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if he gave you a satisfactory on all of the 5 different parts of CPARs, he doesn't have to give you any glowing paragraphs about how you were successful. He's just saying, hey, she met the intent of the contract. Her performance is successful. That's it. They don't have to do anything like that as long as it's successful. Now, when you go up to very good and outstanding, you do have to put something in there to say, what did they do that was so outstanding or so very good? So yes, on those two, you do have to put something on there. On satisfactory, you do not have to put anything on there. And if you get a unsat, they have to explain why you got an unsat.
Okay. All right. My next question is we was talking about the quotes, the RFQs. Say, for instance, that you gave a quote and it was the workload was more than was expressed in the solicitation. Did you go back to the contracting officer and say, hey, look, this is more than you have intended? I know a lot of times the quotes are like per unit price. So if the work, by hours, if the workload is more than the contractor has quoted on, what do you do then?
You go back and ask the question. You have to go back and ask that question because here is the bottom line to that. If you quote a contract or you bid a contract based on the solicitation, but then when you go back and start looking and then add more stuff to the solicitation or even to the contract, you are to be there. First of all, to add anything to the contract after the contract is signed, they're supposed to be giving you an RFP letter stating, hey, we want to add these additional things. Give me a price. The government cannot accept any work that's free. We cannot.
Okay, now what we usually do is if a PM asks or require or requests additional information, we usually go back to the contracting officer to see if that request has run through them and if there will be a modification to the contract.
Some contractors do that, okay? And it depends on if you're doing a construction contract or if you're doing a service contract. Usually before the contractor even notify us, they're supposed to have a COR on those type projects. The COR is supposed to come back to contracting and say, hey, y'all, this is what we're looking at. Okay, and um, we need to increase the contract. Okay,
Okay.
so yes, they're supposed to. The COR is supposed to be doing that more so than anybody else.
All right. Thank you. That was my questions. Thank you.
What,
Okay.
Priscilla, this is Keena. What's a COR? Can you say
Okay.
what that is to those that don't know?
A COR is the contracting officer's representative. What we do in the federal government is that sometimes contracting cannot do everything. And so we appoint people, CORs, contracting officers representatives, to go out there in the field and act on our behalf. And acting on our behalf or the contracting officer's behalf, they cannot obligate the government. They cannot change the scope of the contract. Matter of fact, they cannot change anything in the contract. They are only there to make sure you all adhere to the plans and specs of the contract. So those are contracting officers' representatives. They do not have a contracting officer's warrant. Okay? That's what a contracting officer representative is. Anything over $150,000. In construction, we have CORs on all of our projects. On services, it depends on what the dollar amount and it depends on the length of the contract. Okay, so those are CORs. They have no contracting officers authority, but they are there to adhere and for the contractor. They just, okay, in a nutshell, they're my spies and they're out there telling me what y'all doing out there on my project. Bottom line.
Let
Okay,
me,
and anything that I hear should be coming from them first. Okay.
hey, Priscilla, let me add
Yeah.
this for
Hmm.
those of you that are contractors. Before you do any work outside of the contract that you have signed, you should have a signed modification in place before you do anything outside of that.
Oh, definitely. If that, unless you get it from a contracting officer or ACO, if there is something going on, and well, the only person that can give you the authority to continue work before you get a modification is the contracting officer or the ACO. Those are the only two people. Normally, we do not tell you to go out there and expend funds. And the reason we don't, because the president at any time can come in and say, stop spending money. I've just obligated the government uh, to something, and they call that a ADA, and I don't have the money. The only time that I have the money is when when the modification has been signed by the contracting officer. Now I have bind you. But prior to that, I really hasn't, because you can say, well, nah, I'll wait for the mod. Now I'm gonna tell you that ain't gonna go over too good, but I understand.
But in that instance, as a contracting officer, if you have them go ahead and do something, they should have something in writing, if not the mod, something from the contracting officer to say proceed
Yeah.
before they do
What
any
we
of.
do, what we do in Memphis is that um, if something in the field needs to happen, and we are getting the money together, we're getting the mod together, we're doing all these things. I have my people to send me an email, put the contractor on there, and they may say, "Well, we're giving you authority." Basically, they're putting my name on there so I can put in there, I concur. Basically, as the contracting officer, I'm telling you to go ahead on and get this done. But we do it by email until we can actually get the modification in place. Okay? And we have done that. We have had emergency a year ago, 2 years ago. We had a barge, one of our vessels that we use to fix other vessels, we call it the dry dock, and it sunk. That was a major emergency for us, okay? Because when that thing sunk, 10, 15 people had to jump off of it in the water, in the nasty Mississippi River. So when that happened, I got a call. I went out there to the site, saw what happened, started calling contractors. The first thing that I did as the contracting officer was call finance and ask them, how much money do we have? Well, we're in the thing of getting ready to do this right now, Priscilla. We got $8 million. Okay, cool. Certified at $8 million. I called the contractor and told the contractor to start moving forward. I followed that call up with an email to tell them to start moving forward. So there are times when you have to act and you don't have the proper documentation. I have given notice to proceed on the back of a napkin because it was an emergency. So you can do it as long as a contracting officer is giving you the authority to do it. Okay? But just know a COR does not have that authority. Okay? Tina, I can't get my slides to come back up. Can you put them up?
Yes, I think. Yeah, let me try.
The sharing part, it won't share.
Okay, I'll pull it up. Give me a second.
I was going to say, I see slides, Kina. Okay.
Where?
Huh? You see it?
I don't see them.
No, they just disappeared. So go ahead, Kina.
Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Hold on. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And that's where the part I say lying to get the award, saying that basically you quote a low price thinking, hey, I'm going to get this award. And then when I get the award, I'm going to start asking for more money. I tell you what, I have let go a lot of contractors for trying to play this game with me. I would rather for you to just tell me the truth. Hey, Priscilla, I underbid this project. That's the reason on so many of our projects, you'll receive an email from us verifying. We verify if you can do the job for this amount of money. And when you come back and say, yeah, we can do it, got it. Because when you come back and say, hey, Priscilla, we need more money because of XYZ, I bring your email back up to you and I send it to you. My job is not to put small businesses out of business, but my job is to protect the federal government. Okay? That's my job. And to protect you as taxpayers. Because when you do this, you ought to think about going back to yourself as a taxpayer. Would you really like somebody to lie to get a contract and then all of a sudden say, hey, I was just playing. You owe me $5,000 more. The next issue is contractors wanting to be paid up front. We don't pay up front. There is something very, very rarely that we've done one pay up front contract, and that was to an electric company because their rules and regulations dictates to me that, hey, they are to
Cannot hear anything.
Same here.
Priscilla? Okay, give me a moment. I think she signed off. Give me just a moment. Okay, she's coming back online. Priscilla? Priscilla, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, go
Can
ahead.
you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
All right. We do have some contractors that want to be paid up front. Nah. The government does not pay for services not rendered. We just don't. The only other time that we have done it was, like I said, when we had to pay Entergy to build an electrical site for us. But we normally do not pay upfront. So if you get a contract and you call me and say, "Hey, Priscilla, can you pay me at least 50%?" No. No. You should have money to foot whatever you need to foot upfront, and not depend on the federal government to give you money up front so you can do a job that we are trying to pay you for. Okay? Overcharging the government. You all heard that old adage about paying $600 for a hammer. They don't let that. They still talking about that. Here's the bottom line. Just like you all go out there and you get pricing, we do too. The federal government goes out there and do everything that you do. We call contractors. We know what the market is saying. So when you overcharge the federal government and you say, "Well, y'all just don't want to pay us," it ain't that. We know that you are overcharging us. So you need to look at that, okay? And that comes in the form of you having you being the prime. You really ain't doing nothing, but you want a big percentage of the profit. We got a problem with that. And we look at that. And we can say, even though you are the lowest bidder and you've overcharged us, I can say, "Nah, not doing that." I can cancel that project and put it back out. And you may say, "Well, why would you do that?" It's because sometimes that's what you all drive us to do. Where am I? It's 11. Okay. Pre-solicitation. Again, we send this out. Okay. You submit your bids, and here's the thing. This is for construction. Same thing applies. We have to, whatever we do for supplies and services, we have to do it for construction. The only part is that if you are an 8A contractor, the first thing we do once we get your acceptance letter is go out there and pull your performance appraisals. Sometimes we go out there and pull your performance appraisal before we even get the acceptance letter from SBA. But that's going to play a major part in whether or not we award to you. All of this is. Okay? Here's some of the, in my construction projects, we do what we call either IFB or RFP, doesn't make a difference. In our notice, we call it notice to bidders. We tell you what you need to submit to us. And the reason I'm so adamant about this is that some contractors see this and they do what they want to do. So anything that we submit to you for a quote or a bid, we give you the instructions on what to submit to us back. You see B. B says required. This is required. Systems for award match SAMs. It's required. It's mandated. And the bottom says the lack of the registration makes the bidder ineligible for a bid. We don't try to hide that. We're not trying to hide that information. It's out there. We tell you what we want. Matter of fact, in the notice to bids from construction, we go over all of this. We tell you the site visit. We give you the conditions that affect the work. We tell you when the public bid opening is going to happen. We give you that information. We're not trying to hide it. We tell you exactly what we need. We even go down there and say bidders qualifications. And we tell you in there what we need. We tell you this. So when I get something back other than what I told you I wanted, I got an issue. Because now you're going to make me do my job. I got a problem with doing my job. And I'm just telling you, we tell you all what to give us. We don't try to hide it. We tell you if we need bid bonds. We even go so far as tell you the price in which we need a bid bond. We give you this information. We tell you all about post-award submittals requirement. We even go so far to tell you if you got a question, go to ProjNet and register your question, and we will even answer your questions for you. We give you all this information. We ain't trying to hide. Matter of fact, I make sure my people put this in front before you even get to the bid schedule, so you can take a look at it. These are things that we give you all to go through, to look at. We're not trying to hide it. Okay, we don't try to hide this. Again, we tell you how important SAMS is. We are telling you that if you don't do SAMS, that it's going to make you ineligible. We give you the site visit information. We tell you when to submit your bid. We tell you the information that we need for you to submit. We give you all that information, and still, I have contractors out there to tell me, well, I just forgot. Okay. Does that make him, just because you forgot, does that make him responsive?
You stated all questions. The questions have to go through ProjNet. Is that all questions
Yes.
now? It's going through ProjNet?
For construction requirements only, we are looking at trying to make it fit our services also. But in FBO, we give you our email address. And if you have a problem, email address and our phone numbers. If you have a problem, all you got to do is pick up the phone or email us. We sitting at home. We ain't got nothing else to do. So we give you all that information. ProjNet, for you all that don't know, is a system in which when we put projects out there on the street, especially construction projects, instead of the contractor emailing us, trying to get an answer from us, they submit all their questions through ProjNet, okay? Because the regulation specifically says what I do for one, I must do for all. So if one contractor asks a question, I must take that question, get it answered, and submit it back out there to all of the contractors that want to bid this project. So don't send me no email saying, well, Priscilla, I want to ask this question, but I don't want everybody else to know. Because as soon as you ask me that question, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you to go and submit it in ProjNet. Because everybody needs to see this. Again, just remember, what I do for one, I will do for the other. What information I give to you, I must give to all other contractors. The government is built solidly on, I cannot give one contractor an advantage over the other contractor. So when you ask the question, that's the reason we tell you that we must put this out for all of the contractors to read. So just be aware of that. Issues with construction contractors: high cost and mob and demob line items. Basically, and when I say, and I'm speaking to my construction guys out there, hiding costs and mob and demob. Most contractors try to hide their costs in mob and demob. On construction projects, we have a line item for mob and demob. Our line item is figured. So if we got a project in, I'm just going to say, um, Carruthersville. All right, Carruthersville, Missouri. Our mob and demob is figured 150 miles, is figured on a 150 miles radius of where the contract or where the project is located. Okay? Some contractors try to put, okay, this line item may be $5, but in they mob, but they hid the rest of the cost in their mob and demob. So most of our contracts that we have let, our biggest problem is with the mob and demob line items. Okay, just be aware. What's coming now is that I'm sitting down and I'm going through and asking questions of these contractors. Break your mob and demob costs down for me. I want to see if you're going to rent the equipment or if you own equipment. I want to see how many subcontractors do you have. Okay, and where they're mobbing from. Okay, I need to know how many people are they bringing with them. How many people are there mobbing with them? Because of the environment that we're in, and I understand that the environment that we're in, okay, you're probably having to pay a little bit more. Got it. Don't have a problem with it. But if my IGE saying that the mob cost, and they're adding mob in just like a contractor would, is at $150,000, and I get a mob and demob cost of $450,000 on one of the contractor's line items, we have a problem. So when you submit something to the federal government, just know, especially if it's construction, first thing we're going to look at is your mob and demob cost. That's the first thing. Second thing we're going to look at is your subcontractors. Don't bring me no subcontractor and you know he's been debarred. Don't bring me no subcontractor and you know that everything that you got on him, this is my best friend. Yeah, I know he debarred and everything, but I've been knowing him since I was a child. I don't care. Your subcontractors also have to be in good standing. They have to. That's the reason I asked for a list of your subcontractors, so I can look at it. I want to know who they are. And once you give me that list, you don't have the authority or the right to change it. So, bottom line, I go out there and I say, where's your subcontractor? Well, here's subcontractor A, and his name is Joe Bob. No, on your list, you put down Melissa. Where's Melissa? And who gave you authority to change your subcontractors? If you go back and read the regulation, only the contracting officer can change your subcontractors. Be aware of that. Subcontractors that are not meeting your limitations of subcontracting requirement. We're going to go into limitation of subcontracting requirement, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Violation of the Davis-Bacon Act. We put the Davis-Bacon Act or the Service Act in the contracts for a reason. Understand, in the Davis-Bacon Act, it's telling you if you have a carpenter and you're in Arkansas, it tells you how much you should be paying that carpenter. And you may say, well, I don't pay my carpenter that much. You will on my contracts, you will. Because the Davis-Bacon Act says you must. So if the Davis-Bacon Act says that a carpenter is supposed to get paid $10 and you're paying him $7.50, you just violated that act. And guess what, y'all? I have to report you to the Department of Labor. I have to report you to the Department of Labor because you violated, that ain't my act, that's their act, the Department of Labor's act. And you may say, well, they ain't going to do nothing. Scenario, project, people will report it, the prime contractor to the DOL. The DOL, I get a call, DOL, months later, telling me to hold $250,000 off of the prime contract. Yes, ma'am. I hold $250,000 off of your contract until they are finished with their investigation. Once they finish with their investigation, they come back and say, okay, you can release $100,000 back to the contractor, but you're going to send the Department of Labor $150,000 to make right what the contractor did not. If Davis Bacon says you pay them 10, you pay them 10. If you want to pay them more, that's on you. But you got to at least pay them what the Davis Bacon Act says. Again, violation of the subcontracting clause. And there's three ways you can violate that, and we'll go in there a little bit later. Bidding on projects on which the contractor has no past performance, and he is or she is relying on the subcontractor with the past performance. Now, how crazy does that sound to you? You bidding on a project that you have no past performance in, and then you get mad at me when I say, well, you don't have any past performance. But it doesn't make a difference. I can do the job. That right there is just like me telling you all, hey, I can change the transmission in your car. Well, Priscilla, do you have past performance in doing that? No. But I can do it. Would you trust me in that scenario? But you're asking me to trust you for a project that you have no past performance on. Can I do it? Yes. Yes, I can do it. I can use a subcontractor's past performance depending on who that subcontractor is. But how is that helping you? Please, especially my 8As, just don't be a pass-through company trying to get a little bit of the money. Oh, I just want to get paid. Please don't do that.
Hey, Priscilla, for those that are 8A participants, you must have past performance. We don't look at the past performance of a subcontractor. Before SBA accepts that award, you as the 8A participant must have past performance in that industry.
Y'all heard it from SBA. Okay. Next thing, not submitting cost and pricing data for requirements over $2 million. If you are going to submit a proposal over $2 million, okay, whether the only time you can submit it, and I'll explain this, cost and pricing data on a RFP, not an IFB, but a RFP, a request for proposal. If your requirement is over $2 million, the regulation says you must submit us cost and pricing data. That ain't something that we say that you can, you will. It says you must. You must submit us cost and pricing data for anything over $2 million. We just talked about using the subcontractor's performance for contracts. The biggest thing I got is this: expecting the government to pay 10% profit to the prime, and the prime is only doing 15% of the work. What I'm saying to you all is this: when you're going to subcontract out 85% of the work, and you're only doing, quote unquote, 15% of the work, but you want 10% profit over the overall contract, I got a problem with that. I got a serious problem with that. But I'm just telling you all to watch this. Because as 8A contractors, I get this all the time. And I'm telling you right now that, again, if you're subcontracting out the work and you're subcontracting 85% of the work out, you need to look at your profit. You need to look at your profit, and you need to look at your overhead. Because when I see 10% profit for the prime, we're going to have a conversation. Bottom line, we're going to have a conversation. Contractors that receive a sole source award and they're using 3 and 4 tiers of subcontractors. When you do that, that adds cost to your project. When you're looking at, not only do we have to pay the prime, but we have to pay 3 or 4 other tiers of subcontractor. For every tier that you use to do your project, that's money that you could have been having in your pocket. So watch out for that, because the more tiers of contractors that you add, the more cost you're going to try to pass off to the federal government, and then we're going to have a problem.
And
So
let me
please
just
watch out for
add,
that.
let me just add, the Memphis District Corps of Engineers and the SBA office in Tennessee has a really good relationship. So when those issues of concern for the contracting officer comes up, she definitely gives me a call. So make sure, 8A participants, that you're adhering to the regulations.
And
Is
you all,
there a
I'm not
limit
saying
to the
that you,
tier subcontractor tier? I always thought it was
there's
kind of
there's
outlandish
no
that you
limit.
have 3 or 4 different
There's
tiers.
there is no regulation that says that that speaks to how many tiers of contractors. But the prime needs to understand, for every tier, you are adding more cost to the project. When we, as the government, price our IGEs, we only go 2 tiers. We go prime and sub. We only go down 1 additional tier to the subcontractor. That's how we price our IGEs. Okay?
Let me just add, so if you have 4 or 5 tiers, are you doing the applicable percentages of work based off of the limitations of subcontracting? And then that's something that SBA is going to look at. Do you truly have the past performance that's needed to complete that project?
Because you got to remember, when we do past performance, we only do past performance on the prime. But what my people have started to do, my people have started to put in CPARs that the prime only did 15% of the work. The sub is the one who actually completed the project. So there is a distinction there. Okay?
Okay. A lot of times when they do those different subcontractors tiers that I've seen, they usually are a subsidiary of the prime that's trying to get the subcontractor past performance. But it's a subsidiary of it.
Now, listen to y'all. I'm not saying that you have to limit your tiers of subcontractors. But what I am telling you, for every tier that you add, you are adding price to the project. Case in point, we did a ACF hospital here in Memphis in support of the COVID. Okay? We had 25 tiers of contractors, of subcontractors. 25 tiers. Okay? But we also had to have this project done in 28 days. $51 million. And do you know how hard it is to keep up with 25 tiers of contractors? Because as the prime contractor, you may say, well, I paid that subcontractor. It's your contract. You think that it is the subcontractor's responsibility to pay his people. Here is the bottom line. When they come after, when DOL come after you, they ain't gonna go after the sub. They're coming after you. Because you signed this document that says, I certify that the subs have paid their people. You do that every time you submit every time you submit a ENG 93 to us. ENG 93 for the Corps of Engineers is used to pay for requirements in construction projects. Every time you sign that document, you are saying that you certify that everybody has been paid, all bills has been paid, everything. So when DOL comes back, I have to go back, and that was the documentation they asked for. Submit us the ENG 93s where the contractors by XYZ. Just tell me. I am just saying. Again, submitting subcontractors during the solicitation, but once you get the award, you want to change that subcontractor out for this subcontractor. I'm telling you right now, the only person that can approve that is the ACO and the contracting officer. Because here is our rationale behind that. You get a subcontractor and you say, yeah, he's my boy. That's who I'm going to use. You and your boy fall out. Then you want to go get somebody else. Now, because that's not what we agreed on. We agreed on what you submitted to me in your proposal. That's what we agreed on. So make sure the subcontractors that you're going to use, you got an agreement, a written agreement between you all. Because the first thing I'm going to ask is send me your contractors, your subcontractors list, and I want to see all agreements. Let's get to limitation in contracting. Limitation in contracting. And I'm talking about as prescribed in FAR Part 19.507. And when I have to insert this clause, anything over $250,000, I must insert this clause. Okay? Limitation on subcontractors plan. This includes multiple award contracts when ordering may be set aside for small business concerns. So this limitation on subcontracting is included for multiple award contracts. And the bottom line is for every task order that we process, we have to make sure that you all are adhering to the limitation of subcontracting. Okay, and you say, well, I'm just going to do my 15%. They ain't going to know. Okay. The limitation of subcontracting and who it applies to small business concerns or 8A participants. It applies to parts of multiple award contracts that we set aside for small businesses or 8A participants. It's for small business concern participating on the multiple award contracts and ordering issued directly to small business concerns or 8A participants under a multiple award contract. So for every time you submit something to us, this applies. Now, 52.219-14 applies to supplies, services, and construction. It applies to all. Services, thank you. At least 50% of the cost of performing incurred for personnel shall be expended for employees of the concern. That means 50% of the cost for services should be performed by the prime contractor. Y'all see that, right? 50%. So that means scenario, you get a janitorial award, okay? And you say, well, I live in California, and so I'm just going to subcontract this out to somebody in Memphis. Because the regulation says that you have to do 50% as the prime. Supplies. You remember I was talking about that 500 people, small business, the number of people that you're supposed to have working for you. It comes back to this. It links right back to this. supplies. The concern shall perform work for at least 50% of the cost of manufacturing the supplies, not including the cost of the materials. So I got this big engine. It's awarded to the contractor, and I know he's going to have to build this thing, right? Basically, what they're saying is that 50% of that production, of that manufacture, should be the prime contractor, is the prime contractor's responsibility. That's not including cost. That's performing the work. So basically, it's saying is that you cannot go out there and I need a Caterpillar tractor. Okay, you go out there and all you are is the middle person. You find it, you give me a price. 9 times out of 10, it's four prices. It costs 4 times as much because I went through a middle person. But you didn't manufacture that item. It's a supply item. And it says that you're supposed to manufacture 50% of it. And you may say, well, Priscilla, if that's the case, we'll never get anything. All I can tell you is what the reg says. That's all I can tell you. General construction. The general construction, it says that 15% of the cost of the contract, not including the cost of material, with its own employee. Basically, that is telling you is that 15% of that contract has to be done with your own employees. Scenario: I award a contract to contractor A. And I ask, oh, and by the way, I do ask the contractors, what part of this, what is included in your 15% of this work? What are you going to do for 15% of this contract? I want them to put it in writing. So you have, and you say, well, Priscilla, I'm going to do the superintendent, I'm going to do the safety person, and I'm also going to put the QC person, and they're going to be out there in the yard. I said, oh, great. Then I ask you, well, who is your superintendent? Well, here he is. The first thing I'm going to ask you for is his resume, and I'll need to see at least 2 or 3 paychecks where you paid him. Because what we get, you all, is this. You get a subcontractor, and the subcontractor say, man, don't worry about no superintendent. I'll let this guy come and work for you for the duration of this project, and then he can come and work back for me. No. That's not how that game is going to be played. That's the reason I asked for the resumes and I asked for the pay stubs. Because I want to see if your superintendent, your safety officer, and your QC person has been on your staff for more than 2 days. Or was he on somebody else's staff, on your subcontracting staff, and all you're doing is moving him up to the main office? No, that's not your staff. And I'm telling you all, the government, it takes us a little time to catch up. But when we catch up, we get pissed. So if you're going to tell me this is what you're going to do, I expect for you to do that. I expect for your superintendent, for your QC person, QA QC person, and your safety person to be on my yard. I don't expect for them to be sitting up in your office up in California. They ain't helping me. So again, that's the reason we ask for. And the reason we can ask for these things, because you may be saying, well, you can't ask for that. Yeah, I can. A new law that came into being in December of last year gave me the authority to do it, and it came way through the way of the SBA. And when it's talking about what we can require to show that the contractor is complying with the limitations of subcontracting, we can do that. Okay? Now, it keeps saying with your own employee, and they're not talking including the cost of the materials. Basically, they're talking about people. 15% of your staff should be working on your projects if that's your 15%. Now, I put a note down there, and I can't read the note, but it's basically saying it is not the responsibility of the subcontractors to buy materials, to do rentals, to do the payments and performance bonds. That responsibility does not fall on the subcontractor. It is the prime's responsibility to make sure that those costs have been identified and they are being paid. I want to say that again, because a lot of small business contractors think, well, when I subcontract this out, it is the responsibility of the subcontractor to get the equipment and everything that he needs. That comes out of his money. That comes out of his company. No, it don't. It comes out of yours. That's your responsibility. That's not the sub. That's your responsibility. And if you're passing that cost on the sub, we're going to find that out too. It is your responsibility to do those things, not the sub. That's the reason I put that note there. And the construction by special trades contractors, they got to do at least 25% with their own employees. Do you all understand what I'm saying with your own employees? I'm not talking about the subcontractors' employees, with your employees. And you may say, well, Priscilla, I don't have a superintendent on staff. Well, you're a construction contractor. You should. You should always have superintendent, safety person, and a QC person on your staff. Always. Who is responsible for compliance on the limitation of subcontracting? Contracting officer. Contracting officer. That is our responsibility to make sure that you are adhering to the limitation of subcontracting plan. And over the years, SBA has gotten tougher and tougher on us about making sure that. The law I was telling you about, SBA rules provide the contracting officer. I have the discretion to request information from contractors to demonstrate compliance with the limitation on subcontracting clause. That's my discretion. I can ask for what I want to ask for to make sure that you all are complying with the subcontracting limitations.
Kina, what is that law that she's talking about that was put into place in 2019?
You're talking about, so the agency has always had the requirement as it relates to 8A set aside requirements to monitor the compliance with limitations on subcontracting. They just expanded it. I can look it up for you all and provide it to you.
All right.
That's what it was. They put the law in place and then they just expanded it to give us the discretion to ask for certain documentation. Here are some of the things we can ask for. Equipment list, subcontracting list, invoices, pay statements, list of prime contractors, employees, resumes. And again, I told you I asked for a memorandum of record on what work with the prime contractor perform. And you may say, and I let you all go out there and y'all do y'all thing, y'all working hard and everything. And you all forget about me. and then I pop up on your job site, and I ask your who is the superintendent, and the superintendent comes out and he said, "Hey, Miss Winnie, how you doing?" I'm saying, "I'm cool." And I asked him, "How long you been working for this company?" Oh, they just pick me up and they get to talking in the field. Well, I used to work for the subcontractor over there, but the subcontractor told me he lent me to this guy right here to put on his staff, so I can be his superintendent. Then once this is over with, then I'll go back working for the subcontractor. Oh, okay, thank you. See, there's one thing about the guys in the fields, especially on construction projects, they love to talk. And they love for people to engage them on the projects. And I do engage them on the projects. I ask questions on the projects. Even with this, I even go and do while I'm out there. I even go out there. I may walk up to a guy and say, "Hey, what's your job?" "Well, I'm a carpenter." "How much you make an hour?" "I make $5.75 an hour." "What's your name?" "My name is so and so, so and so." "Okay, thank you." Then I go and ask 3 or 4 more other people the same thing. And they give me the same answer. Then I go back and pull the contract, pull the Davis-Bacon Act, and see what they're supposed to get paid. Then the first thing I do, because I want to do this before the DOL, the Department of Labor, gets involved, I send a letter to the prime contractor. "Hey, I just did labor reviews for 3 or 4 people, and here are their names. The regulation says, Davis-Bacon says they're supposed to get paid this. You're paying them this. You're in violation." Give them the opportunity to fix it. I let it go a couple of weeks, come back. "Hey," go walk right back up to the same people. "Hey, I talked to you about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Is everything okay?" "Yeah." Either at that time they're going to tell me, "Yeah, I got a raise," or they're not going to say anything at all. So the more these projects, and the reason I'm telling you all this is that we have a duty to go out there and check all these things. And you say, "Y'all can't possibly go out there and do all of this." Yeah, we do. We go out there. I go out there. Ask the chief. I don't have to, but I do. Because I need the contractors, when they see a email or a letter from me, they need to know and understand who this letter is coming from. And if I'm telling them something, they need to adhere to it. Because usually I don't get involved with my contracts, especially my construction contracts. I don't get involved unless I'm pulled into it. And when I'm pulled into it, they are my ACO, which is my administrative contracting officer. He is at his wit's end. And I'm telling you all these things because here's the bottom line. And you may say, "Well, you won't terminate us." I just terminated a contractor and he was 90% complete. So I will terminate you. Bottom line. And I'm not telling you all these things just to hear myself talking. I'm telling you all these things is because these are things that you all need to know. Because these are things I'm seeing out there, and when I ask the question, the first thing I hear is, "I'm sorry, Priscilla, I just didn't know." Don't be afraid to ask us questions. That's what we're there for. I am not only a contracting officer, I am also a business advisor. I'm not going to advise you on your price, but I will tell you to start looking at this, and this. That's what we do. But these are some of the things we can look at to make sure that you are adhering to the subcontracting, the limitation of subcontracting. Violations. This is what SBA says. If you violate and you are found to violate the limitation of subcontracting rules, they are severe. They include suspension, debarment, administrative remedies, and a minimum penalty of $500K. If your job ain't for $500K and you owe me $500K, you ain't making no money off this project, are you? SBA can apply this to you. What I can apply to you is that I terminate you. Bottom line. And I have that authority. SBA has given me that authority to terminate the contract if you are found to violate the limitation of subcontracting rules. So
Hey,
this is
Priscilla,
yeah.
real quick, the regulation for that is 13 CFR 125.6.
They even have a rules and regulations for that. Okay.
Repeat that. 13 CFR
125.6.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you all have any questions on what I just went over? I'll entertain anything you want to know. Thomas says, if a new AA company was this, where this could be their first contract awarded, does that new AA company has to still have past performance? The regulation says this. Keno's regulation is totally different than my regulation. My regulation says I cannot hold against you if you have no past performance. I cannot hold that against you. Okay? That particular requirement. That's my regulation. But Keno's regulation says,
if you are an 8A participant and the agency sends an offering letter to our office for a requirement for you in which you have no past performance, you will not be accepted for their requirement. I'll ask for it for another participant. But if the 8A participant does not have past performance, I will not accept that requirement on your behalf. For 8A participants, SBA is the prime contractor. The 8A participant is the subcontractor. So we have to ensure that you have the past performance because we don't want a blemish on the 8A program by giving you that requirement and you have no past performance and you don't perform on that requirement successfully.
Y'all hear that? That ain't left up to me. Lakina, let me ask you a question. What if there are 8A and they bid competitively on a 8A set aside and they get the contract and they don't have any past performance? What happens in that?
I have to make an eligibility determination and it's going to be no.
So y'all know that's coming from her. That ain't coming from me.
Mentor, and the mentor was approved through SBA, and the mentor has the past performance and is training the 8A in those areas that were agreed upon the SBA mentor protege agreement.
So that's two separate programs. We have the mentor protege program and the 8A program. You can have a mentor. If you have a mentor that's providing you with past performance and you can demonstrate that past performance by providing me copies of contracts, I want to see invoices, some type of payment where you're just not doing the pass through, then we can add that to your approved business plan. But just because you have a mentor does not mean that I'm going to accept that requirement as an 8A set aside requirement and you have no past performance. You can get a mentor. What I advise all of you that are wanting to get mentors, make them start subbing you some work. We're not telling you how to get the work. You must have it. In order to be eligible for an 8A set-aside requirement, I'm not talking about anything other than 8A. And if your mentor is not willing to sub you work for you to gain the past performance, look for another mentor.
But does the SBA or the SBA does approve an 8A mentor protege?
We approve it. You're talking about two separate things.
Okay.
You're talking about a mentor protege relationship, which is designed to provide you with whatever assistance you're lacking. Business development assistance, technical assistance, management assistance. We don't know, it's up to you to make sure that mentor is providing you whatever assistance you requested. But again, I say, if you do not have past performance, even though you have a mentor, we're not going to accept it. Just because you have a mentor does not automatically guarantee that you're going to get awarded an 8A set-aside contract. And definitely if you don't have past performance.
And one of the things I would like to let you all know is this right here. And Keena is very right, because 2 years ago, we had a project that had been in the 8A program forever. And we noticed that we only got maybe to participating one or two. When we started it out, we set it aside for 8A. We would have 9, 10 people to submit proposals. Then over the years, we start seeing where the contractors stop bidding, and I can't tell you why they stopped bidding on the project. But anyway, what happened the last time that it was in the project? It had been in the project. It had been in the 8A program for almost 10 years. But the last time we advertised it in the 8A program, what we found is that it was a Native American company who was the apparent low. But what happened is that when we start going back and doing our contractors' responsibility and start going back and looking in their SAMs, and not only do we look in their SAMs, we also look at that small business dynamic website, and we pull information off that also. Even though they bidded on it, we knew who their sub was because he subcontracted on all these projects. So we knew who the sub was. Our problem was not with the sub. Our problems was with the Native American company because they did not have that next code. And when we sent something up to SBA telling them, hey, these people, the first thing SBA did is it was denied. It was denied. And you know, Native American, they hold a whole lot of power. So what I ended up having to do, because SBA had denied it, I had to go and request that the project be taken out of SBA, out of the 8A program. And it was hard to get it taken out of it because it had been in there so long. But what we started finding was that 8As were not bidding on this project anymore. They may bid, one or two may bid, and then a year go and only one may bid. And so we had to take that out of the program. So there are things that we do that we take out of the program or that SBA will not approve. And I can't tell SBA to say, hey, he can do the work and we know who their subcontractor is and yada, 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 and we can award this. When they said, no, he's not eligible for award, then we had to go another direction. And so when that does happen, it throws us in a tizzy because we have to go in another direction when SBA puts their foot down with certain contractors. And we do listen to SBA, especially if I'm going to award a contract within Tennessee. I automatically send Keena an email and say, hey, what do you know about this contract? I do that. Okay? So when you all think that SBA is one government established and USACE is another government established, I have a small business specialist that sits right there in my office. So I'm not making these decisions in a vacuum. Okay? So I want you all to understand when we make decisions, we're not making all these decisions about 8As or small businesses in a vacuum. We got our business uh, um, SMAs, the smartest people in the room, and we sit down and we talk and we tell you all. We say what program is going to be put in the program. It's going to be put in the 8A program, the service disabled program, the woman-owned program. We know where those programs are. But what I would tell you all is this: when you see what we call RFIs out there on FBO, or sources out there on FBO, and you do that type of work, you need to put your documentation in. Because what a sources sought is, we are sending out information and say, hey, we got this project. We need to know who's out there. We don't know who's out there. We don't know how many small businesses or 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 large businesses or service disabled vet. We don't know how many of those people are out there. That's the reason we do sources sought. That's the reason we put it out there on FBO for everybody to see. Okay? And then when that information comes back to us, we sit down and we say, oh, well, we got 7 small businesses, we got 5 8As, we got this, we got this, we got this. Regulation says all I need is 2, the rule of 2 in any given category. Now, when I say the rule of 2, I'm saying the rule of 2, not only that you're a small business or 8A or wherever you are, but you can do the work. And Keno can stop me if I'm wrong, but the regulation specifically says it's 2 parts of the regulation now. Not only that you have to be a small business concern, but you must submit us documentation to show us that you can do this work.
Correct.
That's the rule of 2. It's no longer, well, just a small business. You have to demonstrate to us that you can do this work also. Okay? Now, the last thing, and I don't have a slide for it, but lease versus purchase, rental equipment. We do rent equipment. Okay? We do rent equipment, you all. And some of the things that we have to ask ourselves when we rent equipment is, how long are we going to keep the equipment? Okay? Is it cheaper to rent it or to purchase it? Okay? We don't put insurance on anything because the government is self-insured. The types of equipment, the maintenance on the equipment, how many hours are on the equipment. We ask those types of questions, okay, on when we get ready to lease or rent equipment. We do ask those types of questions. We do, when we put a quote out there, case in point, y'all gonna laugh, we rented a barge. We leased, you say leases, what we call barges. And you all may say, what is a barge? If you ever been on a river, especially the Mississippi River, and you see a boat pushing all this rock downstream, and it's on that rock is being placed on a barge, and they push it. And so we lease those types of things. We lease when we go down to New Orleans, we lease tractors, bulldozers. We even set up. We got BPAs for that type of lease equipment. Okay, but here's the problem with lease equipment. When you lease it to us, for some reason, you all just think that they can just tell the government anything. Regulation specifically says that the government should not pay any more than anybody out there in the public. So if you got a bulldozer and you're going to lease it to Joe Blow for $50, you should be leasing it to the federal government also for $50. That's the regulation. And what we're finding is that if we get a lease piece of equipment. They lease it to Joe Blow for $50, but they want to lease it to the federal government for $350. Now you tell me how's that fair? And these are your tax dollars. Remember that. These are your tax dollars. Okay? So please understand that when you all are leasing equipment for us, and I would tell you when you lease equipment for us, take a picture of your equipment. Take a picture before it leaves your company. Take a picture of your equipment that you are going to lease. Because here's the problem. You tell me you leased something from us and we ain't kept it for a couple of months, and it comes back and one of the wheels missing, or one of the tracks missing, and you tell me, well, you all damaged my equipment. And the first question I'm going to ask you is this: prove to me that that wheel was on that piece of equipment when you rented it to me. And if you got your pictures there, and you got your backup documentation, here you go, Priscilla. See that right there? That's when you all rented it, and it had 4 tires. Oh, okay, then. We owe you a tire, right? Just like you tell us, well, federal government, you prove to me that I did X, Y, Z. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Contractor, you prove to me that your equipment was in pristine condition when you rented it to me. You show me where the last time it's had a tune-up, the last time the oil been changed, the last time you all did any maintenance on there. Send me the maintenance records, and you prove it, and you prove that to me that this equipment was in good condition when I got it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the type of field work we do, we are really hard on equipment, on rental equipment, because our job is protecting the Mississippi River. And when protecting the Mississippi River, you're building levees, you're building dikes, you're in the mud, you're in all these things. And I'm going to give you all this one scenario, and I'm going to be gone. A couple of years ago, Hurricane Gustav was coming through New Orleans, and we had rental equipment. We did not have time to get that rental equipment out of the way because the storm was on us. We left the equipment where it was. Okay? Came back, kind of muddy and everything, but we left it where it was. And when we returned the equipment, the contractor said, well, you have damaged this whole thing, and you need to buy me a new tractor. Okay. Show us the pictures. Show us what we did. Prove to me that we damaged your equipment. And you may say, well, you left it out there in a hurricane. But that doesn't mean that it was damaged. That just means I left it out there in a hurricane. So we will ask you for proof. Not that we are saying that we don't believe you. But when we go through this process, I must have documentation to make a decision. And if I don't have that documentation, I can only make a decision on what I already have. So when you all are looking at rental equipment, please make sure you are taking pictures of all of your equipment, making sure that you have all your maintenance paperwork and everything you need in the event that the government damages your equipment. That is not my responsibility to prove that the government damaged your equipment. It is your responsibility to prove that to the federal government that we damaged your equipment. That is all I have. Do anybody have anything for me? I got a new message. Hold on. Okay. That is all I have. Do anybody have anything for me?
Any questions? Now
I have a
question. Yes.
Hey, Priscilla, this is Marcus with Grand Slam. How you doing? Thanks for the
hey, Mark.
Information. So, how are you guys handling companies that want to update their capability statement or briefing meeting with you guys during this pandemic?
What you're going to have to do, Mark, is that you're going to have to get with Tom Mercer, which is our small business person. If you want to meet and update, everything we do now is online. This is how we meet now. Okay, it's online, and he can set up something for us to talk online in one of these chat rooms, and then you can demonstrate your capabilities. But I would tell you to reach out to Tom Mercer first.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Before we end, Latanya Channel, District Director, SBA Tennessee District Office, would you like to say anything?
I'll just say thanks to Priscilla, as usual. As you mentioned earlier, we have a great partnership with Army Corps and Priscilla specifically. She does an excellent job at being clear and direct with our firms and making sure everyone knows what is required and expected. So just thank you. That's all. I learned some stuff today.
You're welcome. Thank you. A young lady named Velma raised her hand. What's up, Velma? Hello? Okay. Maybe not. Hey, Kina has my
Velma,
telephone
you can
number.
unmute
Okay.
yourself.
Yeah, I had to unmute it. Well, we
Okay.
get a copy of the slides I had right before Priscilla did the constructions that it said it can't display the content, but I kept on listening, so I didn't want to disturb.
We
But
will
I didn't
send
get
that
the.
out. We will send
Oh,
out
okay.
the
Thank you.
presentation, yes.
All right.
Hey, Keena, I'm also recording this, so we
Okay.
can if you've got other participants' emails, we can give them access to a recording as well.
Okay, thank you.
This is C. Carter, and I would like to find out where, and if you have any opportunities listed for the fourth quarter, where can we look for them?
For us, everything we got that's going to be done in the fourth quarter. We in the fourth quarter, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything that we're going to be listing for the fourth quarter is going to be out there on FBO.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you all of this piece of information. You all know that the environment that we're in right now. Please start getting yourself together, because here's the bottom line. Next year, I don't know if you all remember, if you all was in business, you remember when President Barack came in and they did that era funding and money was everywhere. Come October 1, they're looking to do the same thing. Okay? There's going to be lots of work and lots of money, because they're trying to get the economy back on track. And so one of the ways to get the economy back on track is to do an infusion of money. And the federal government is good at spending money. So please, please, please get yourself ready for that, because it's going to happen. Right now, we usually in Memphis, after September, we probably take October off because we don't have a whole lot of work to do. This October, I already have 15 projects on the books, okay, that we will be doing, okay? So,
Priscilla,
the money's going to be out there, yes.
for those contracts that you all may have that is less than the 25,000 that you're not going to post on FBO, how can they look for those opportunities?
Low hanging fruit.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to tell you this.
Low hanging fruit.
85% of everything that we do, we place out there on FBO.
The 25%.
No, 85% of all projects that we award, the requirements are placed out there on FBO as either a request for quote, or a request for proposal, or IFB, or however you all want to put it. We put it out there on FBO because the regulation says this. In FAR Part 5, it states that between anything up to 10 million, anything up to $15 million do not have to be posted. Anything over $15 million has to be posted somewhere. Doesn't have to be posted on FBO, but it has to be posted somewhere. We choose to post it on FBO.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that anything over 15,000, we post on FBO.
Okay, but I'm talking about that 15%. If I want to sell you some paper, some pencils, or offer a training to the employees there, and it's going to be less than 15,000, how do I find those opportunities as a contractor?
Okay. All I can do is go back to regulation. The micro purchase limit is $10,000.
Okay.
So anything under $10,000, they can use the government credit card. So you will never see those.
You just have to market to the agency and hope that they use
Yes.
some of the internal staff funding.
Yes. Yeah. With any, you know, and the thing about it is that the contractors that have taken the time to market themselves to us, we have taken the time to actually take a look at them and see could they supply what they say they can supply. So the contractors that actually take the time to market themselves, we do try to set contracts aside for them.
So for
So
those
don't listen to what
requirements,
I just said.
wait. For those requirements that are lower than 15,000, would it be helpful to you if I give you a list of participants, 8A participants that have the capability?
Because what I can do is send those lists out there to my card holders and say, hey guys, here's a list of contractors that have the capabilities to do XYZ, and you tell me what those capabilities are. And so at least they got a list of contractors that they can call. You know, they got, I mean, you looking at, we know we can go out there on GSA
Right.
and other places. But if they got a list of 8A contractors that they can call, or just small business contractors that they can call, that will provide us the same products, hey,
Okay, so I'm
they
going to
can use
send
their
you that
government credit card
list.
to do that.
And if they
Please
have
do,
an issue, can you let me know? I'll do a follow-up
Yes.
too.
please do not listen to what I said by going to market to the agency staff. That money is reserved. Don't try to get that. I'm working on it.
Yep.
This is
Okay,
not
you
the
know I'm going to
company.
do a
This is
follow-up.
the independent contractor that's making a statement.
Any other questions, anyone? Jawanda Jones, Joyce Connor.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you, Priscilla, for that great presentation, especially the information on past performance. And I will also get a list to you for
Yes,
8A
ma'am. No problem.
contractors. Thank
No
you.
problem. No
Thank
problem
you,
at all, ma'am.
Priscilla. This is Jawanda. I really
You're welcome.
enjoyed it. Learned a lot. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, then, you all. I got to go to my next meeting.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
Hey,
Goodbye.
no problem, Keena. Give me a call later on.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.